So you feel it, don't you? That little twitch in your chest, that restless hum in your bones. Like the world is quietly unplugging the old version of you and loading something bigger. People around you still think you're the same, walking the same steps, thinking the same thoughts, living the same quiet little script. But inside, something's cracking open. And not politely. No, life doesn't knock when it's about to rewrite you. It barges in, grabs you by the collar, and whispers, "Stand up. You're not done yet." You know what's funny? People cling to comfort. Like it's some kind of trophy, like staying the same is an achievement. They sit in the same routines, same thoughts, same fears, patting themselves on the back for surviving another boring day. But comfort, oh, comfort is a cage disguised as a couch. And that cage, it has silk pillows, soft blankets, predictable mornings, and absolutely no future. Everything comfortable has an expiration date, and the universe has a delightful little habit of ripping the blanket off just when you start snoring too deeply. You think peace means stillness, but real peace is movement. It's growth. It's those uncomfortable little jolts that feel like inconvenience, but are really invitations to evolve. People don't realize this until it's too late. They treat comfort like security, not realizing it's the slowest kind of trap. You get used to things, don't you? Used to disappointment, used to silence, used to dreams packed into dusty corners because chasing them felt dangerous. And then one day, life decides it's tired of watching you shrink. It shakes the table, flips your little controlled world over, and there you are, blinking, confused, offended. Why is everything changing? Because you refuse to. That's why. Life doesn't play favorites, but it has a delicious way of pushing those who refuse to push themselves. The moment you settle, the clock starts ticking. Comfort is a countdown, not a destination. Ever notice how the most dangerous phase in life isn't chaos? It's calm. That eerie calm where nothing grows, nothing excites, nothing scares you anymore. That's not peace. That's stagnation wearing perfume. Comfort tricks you into calling it happiness. You wake up at the same time. Talk to the same people who secretly don't want you rising. Scroll the same screens that numb instead of inspire. And slowly, quietly, a spark inside you dims until one day you look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back. Not because you changed, but because you didn't. But here's the thrilling part. Life never lets the right person rot in peace. When you're meant for more, comfort becomes poison. It starts to itch, to suffocate. You feel restless at night, your mind racing, your spirit pacing like a lion behind glass. You know there's more. You feel something tugging at your ribs, whispering there's a version of you waiting to be born the moment you stop clinging to who you were. That itch, that fire, that agitation that makes your old life feel too tight. That's not stress, that's awakening. And oh, how people around you will panic when they see you changing. They'll try to drag you back to the comfort cave because your evolution threatens their laziness. They don't want you outgrowing them. They want you predictable, small, familiar. They'll say, why change? Things are fine. Fine. Fine is just failure wearing makeup. Fine is what people settle for when greatness feels frightening. They call comfort safe. But tell me, when did safe ever change the world? When did comfortable ever build something unforgettable? You were not born to repeat days like a broken record. You were born to burst through your limits like they were never real to begin with. Everything comfortable in your life right now, it is either already dying or begging you to let it go, because the universe, yes, that mischievous force you pretend not to feel, will not allow you to stay small when you were built for big. It will remove, replace, rearrange until you rise. Comfort expires. Progress demands discomfort. If it doesn't scare you, stretch you, shake you, break you a little, then it isn't change. It's stagnation dressed like stability. So when things stop fitting, when routines feel suffocating, when a quiet voice inside you whispers, Mora, don't ignore it. That's the expiration notice on your comfort. The warning label before transformation. The whisper before the earthquake. The old life is cracking because the new one is impatient. Your comfort is dying, and that's the best thing that could ever happen to you. Isn't it amusing how people beg for change, pray for a breakthrough, whisper into the dark about wanting a new chapter, yet cling to their old life like it's a life raft instead of the anchor that's drowning them? They talk about wanting more, but oh, how terrified they are of losing what's familiar. You say you want growth, but you also want comfort, certainty, applause, a roadmap, and a guarantee stamped in gold. And life just laughs. Because growth doesn't come wrapped in a warm blanket. It comes with earthquakes. And if you won't move on your own, the universe has a wicked sense of humor. It shakes you until you do. Picture it. You're standing in a house built by habits, fear, doubt, and routines so old they creak. You know the windows are too small, the air too stale, the door locked from the inside. But hey, at least it's familiar, right? Safe. Predictable. You convince yourself it's enough, even though something inside you claws at the walls, gasping for evolution. And there's the universe, watching you like a lion waiting for its prey to stop pretending it's a house cat. It whispers first a little discomfort here, a little dissatisfaction there. A job becomes suffocating. A relationship starts cracking. A dream you tried to bury won't stay quiet. That's the first nudge, the polite tap. But most people, they ignore it, medicate it, scroll past it, drown it in routine. So the universe shrugs and pushes harder. Suddenly the cracks widen. Doors slam shut. People leave. Opportunities crumble. Plans fall apart like wet paper. And you panic, don't you? Why is this happening to me? You cry. Funny. It's happening for you. You refuse to move, so the universe moved everything around you. You refuse to release certain things, so they were ripped from your hands. You wouldn't step forward, so the floor behind you collapsed. When you cling to comfort, life has no choice but to kick you out of it. Not out of cruelty, but because stagnation offends destiny. And oh, how angry people get when their comfort is taken. They call it unfair, call it punishment, call it chaos. But chaos is a sculptor, carving away who you were pretending to be to reveal who you were meant to become. You think earthquakes destroy, but sometimes they just loosen the foundation so you can rebuild into something that doesn't shake under your own potential. You weren't meant to remain in rooms you've outgrown, but if you stay too long, everything around you rots, so you finally notice the smell. Life doesn't coddle evolution. It provokes it. Look closely at the moments you thought were the worst in your life. The heartbreak, the loss, the failure, the betrayal. At the time, they felt like collapse. But now you can see they were transportation. Forced exits from places you were dying in slowly. Without those shocks, you would have stayed where you didn't belong, shrinking into someone you weren't. You needed the shake. You needed the discomfort. You needed the fall to realize your legs worked well enough to stand. You don't build wings in peaceful stillness. You build them in free fall. People misinterpret pressure. They think it means they're losing. But pressure isn't punishment. It's proof you're in the doorway between who you were and who you must become. Pressure breaks those who cling to the old, but it awakens those ready for the new. The universe isn't pushing you to hurt you. It's pushing you because stagnation is a slow death, and you were not built for decay. You were built for eruption, for transformation, for the kind of shift that makes everyone who underestimated you choke on their doubts. And yes, it's overwhelming. Growth always feels like destruction at first. Blossoming always feels like breaking before beauty shows up. But there's a point when the shaking stops, not because life got easier, but because you finally started moving on your own instead of being dragged by fate. The universe doesn't destroy stability. It destroys illusions. It doesn't take comfort. It just exposes that comfort was costing you everything real. You don't wake up through calm. You wake up through disruption. And every shake you survive is proof you're being shaped, not shattered. Ah, comfort. Such a soft little pillow people press their faces into, hoping the world will stay still just long enough for them to breathe without thinking. You ever notice that? People cling to what's familiar like it's oxygen, scared that if they loosen their grip, life will smirk and yank the floor out from under them. They whisper, "I just want peace." But what they really want is permission to stay small without being judged for it. Because comfort feels like safety, and safety feels like control, and control feels like a lie we tell ourselves to sleep at night. Funny, isn't it? But here's the twist no one prepares you for. Comfort doesn't always break gently. Sometimes it shatters like glass in your hands, and you bleed because you weren't ready to let it go. It pulls from you the smiles you faked, the routines you clung to, the identity you thought was permanent, and you stand there confused, offended even, like life betrayed you. But it didn't. It just got tired of waiting for you to grow. You see, nothing transforms while it's wrapped in blankets. No fire roars when you refuse to strike the match. No one evolves while pretending they already have everything figured out. Comfort delays reality. But eventually reality arrives, knocks on your door, and doesn't wait for an invitation. And when your comfort cracks, oh how the mind panics. The ego screams, "This shouldn't be happening." You scramble to glue the pieces back together, even when those pieces were suffocating you. You beg life to rewind, to give you back the numbness, the predictability. The soft illusion where nothing demanded more from you. But whether you like it or not, chaos has a way of clearing space. Like a storm tearing down a rotten tree, everyone kept pretending was still alive. Sometimes your comfort wasn't peace, it was decay disguised as rest. Sometimes what breaks needed to. See, a new vision doesn't glide in politely with a shy little knock. It storms in, wet boots and all, muddying your clean little floor. It interrupts, it disturbs, it agitates. It forces you to question habits, friendships, dreams, your own voice. It whispers, you can be more. And suddenly you're embarrassed by who you settled as. That's uncomfortable, isn't it? Growth always is. That's the joke life plays. You want change, but you want to keep what made you need change in the first place. Doesn't work like that. The universe isn't your butler fetching dreams, while letting you continue napping your ambition away. And don't misread the pain as punishment. It's preparation. The tearing is not cruelty, it's construction. Think about it. A seed bursts before it becomes a tree. A muscle tears before it becomes strong. A heart breaks before it understands its own capacity to love again. You think discomfort is a sign you're failing. No. It's a sign something new is arriving and your old shell can't fit it anymore. But people cling to the old version of themselves like a scared child hugging a worn-out toy. This is who I am, they insist. No, that's who you were before life demanded you grow teeth, backbone, hunger, vision. And vision. Vision is dangerous. Not because it's hard to see, but because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It haunts you in quiet moments. It stares at you from mirrors. It taps your shoulder when you're scrolling aimlessly, wasting time, pretending you don't know you're meant for more. It laughs when you choose laziness, whispers when you choose fear, taunts you when you settle. Vision is a calling disguised as discomfort. People run from it because it demands sacrifice. It demands ego death, identity stretch, bravery without applause. But those who stop resisting, they discover that the life they thought was breaking was actually blooming. The truth is, comfort was never loyalty. It was limitation. And when it finally breaks, don't mourn the pieces. Let them fall. Let them scatter. That crack you're terrified of. That's where the light enters. That silence you feel. That space being made. That ache in your chest. That's the sound of potential waking up. Let it rise. Let it reshape you. Let the world watch you step out of your old skin like you never belonged there in the first place. Because maybe you didn't. Maybe you were always destined for more, but life had to break your comfort so you'd finally see it. Sacrifice. Such an ugly little word, isn't it? People hear it, and suddenly their smiles drop, their hearts tighten, and their hands start clutching what they have like scared children guarding candy. Sacrifice. They imagine loss, struggle, discomfort, pain. Oh, how dramatic they become. But everyone wants the reward, don't they? Everyone wants the big life, the miracle, the shift, the blessing. Yet they flinch at the cost. They pray for change, then panic when life asks for proof that they mean it. Show me your commitment. It whispers, and people start stuttering. Because they don't want to give up who they are to become, who they claim they want to be. Funny thing about sacrifice, it shows the truth. It peels off the masks everyone loves to wear. When everything is smooth, when life is gentle, when dreams are merely talk, anyone can pretend. They speak big visions, post deep quotes, declare how hungry they are. But hunger isn't loud. Real hunger doesn't brag. Real hunger is silent, sharp, focused. Real hunger makes you leave the table early, makes you walk away from comfort, makes you say no to distractions others chase like crumbs. Sacrifice isn't glamorous, but oh, it exposes you. Are you serious, or just entertained by potential? Are you building, or just daydreaming? The world doesn't listen to what you say about yourself. It watches what you give up to become, what you say you will be. Some people treat growth like a negotiation. I want success, but I don't want to lose my comfort. I want purpose, but I don't want to let go of my old habits. I want elevation, but I want to stay surrounded by the same people who keep me grounded in mediocrity. Ah, adorable. They cling to what hurt them, what limited them, what distracted them, then wonder why their life never rises. Sacrifice demands you put something on the altar. Time, ego, laziness, fear, excuses. Something has to burn. You don't get to keep everything. You don't get to walk into a higher version of yourself, carrying the dead weight of who you used to be. But people love baggage. They wrap their identity around it. This is just how I am. No, it's how you choose to stay. And here's where the universe gets interesting. It doesn't steal from you. It trades. What you call loss is usually an exchange. But people panic when they're asked to let go, because they only see what's leaving, not what's coming. They don't realize the door they're gripping so tightly is the very thing blocking the one they're praying for. So life nudges, pushes, sometimes shoves. It removes distractions, exposes fake friendships, collapses old identities. And they scream, "Why is this happening to me?" Not realizing it's happening for them. Sacrifice feels like violence to the part of you that wants to stay small. It feels like betrayal to your comfort, not your destiny, but the truth. Nothing real ever leaves. Only the temporary is taken. Only the unnecessary falls away. And oh, the beautiful chaos that happens when you finally understand sacrifice isn't punishment. It's preparation. Your loneliness, training ground, your discipline, weapon sharpening, your silent nights working when no one claps, ceremony of becoming. But people fear that silence. They fear being unseen. They crave applause before effort, recognition before mastery, celebration before sacrifice. They want the harvest without the planting. They want to stand on the mountaintop without feeling their legs shake from the climb. They think sacrifice is suffering. not realizing it is sculpting. It chisels the weak parts, polishes the rough edges, carves out the hollowness inside where greatness will live. And let's talk about those who claim they're sacrificing when they're really stalling. Oh yes, some love to dramatize their struggle, to call procrastination rest, excuses healing, hesitation wisdom. They convince themselves that waiting is a strategy. But sacrifice isn't passive. It's deliberate. It's the moment you look at your comfort and say, "You're not my king anymore." It's when you look at your fear and smile, because you know it's finally losing. It's when you wake up earlier than your excuses, when you walk away from people who love your weakness, when you replace indulgence with discipline. Not because you're forced, but because you choose to. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of what you're afraid to give up. A stronger voice, a sharper mind, a clearer mission. But it won't meet you halfway. You step forward first. You prove you're serious. You surrender the comfortable life to earn the meaningful one. And people might laugh, doubt, criticize. Let them. Sacrifice has always looked crazy to spectators, but dreaming small to stay comfortable, that's the real insanity. Sacrifice isn't a loss. It's the receipt for the life you're about to walk into. The environment. The cage we build for ourselves with pretty little bars made of familiarity, comfort, and predictable voices that echo our doubt back to us like a choir of limitations. People don't realize how heavy their surroundings are until they try to rise. They don't realize how loud comfort is until silence calls them. And they surely don't notice how influence works. Not with grand explosions, but slow, subtle drips. A comment here, a doubt there, a little insecurity disguised as advice. Are you sure? That's risky. You think you're better than everyone. They feed you fear while smiling. They keep you small while pretending to care. Oh, what a delightful trap. Not locked by chains, but by opinions. You ever see someone trying to change while their circle remains the same? It's like planting a seed in concrete and getting surprised when it never grows. But people cling to familiarity like it's oxygen, unaware it's the very thing suffocating them. These are my friends, my family, my people, they say. Yes, darling, and some of them have known you only as your smallest version. They fell in love with your weakness, your hesitation, your harmlessness. So imagine the horror, the panic, when you start evolving, when you stop laughing at their small jokes, when you stop joining their gossip, when you stop participating in the meaningless things that once made you feel included. They feel betrayed because your growth exposes their stagnation. People fear losing others more than losing themselves. They'll keep toxic friendships just to avoid being alone. They'll stay around voices that belittle them because silence terrifies them more than self. Betrayal. They don't understand silence is where you hear destiny knocking. Solitude is where clarity finally speaks. But no, they'd rather sit in noisy rooms filled with empty conversations and fake admiration than face the mirror alone. They confuse presence with value. They assume proximity equals support. They forget snakes can sit beside you too, smiling, waiting for your weakest moment. Careful who claps when you talk about dreams. Applause can be mockery in disguise. When you start changing your environment, people call you rude, distant, arrogant. Funny, the moment you start choosing yourself, they act like you've committed a crime. Because they weren't attached to you. They were attached to the version of you that served their comfort. They liked you tired, doubtful, available, predictable. Growth feels offensive to small minds. Grind feels threatening to lazy hearts. Vision terrifies those who cannot imagine beyond the next weekend. When you speak big, they laugh. When you dream loud, they whisper. When you elevate, they suddenly don't recognize you anymore. Good. You weren't meant to stay recognizable. Sometimes isolation is not punishment. It's relocation. Sometimes the universe removes people because you wouldn't. Sometimes the silence you fear is the sanctuary your soul begged for. But people panic when they're alone. They think loneliness means they're failing. They think walking away means losing. Ah, the irony. Leaving a dead environment isn't loss. It's escape. It's oxygen. It's freedom. But freedom always feels uncomfortable at first when you've lived in cages disguised as comfort. When you're used to being surrounded, solitude feels like a void. But give it time. You'll realize it's a garden. Your environment isn't just physical. It's emotional, mental, digital. Some scroll through poison daily and wonder why their heart feels heavy. Some consume noise and expect clarity. They feed their mind chaos, then ask life for peace. Change your inputs and your thoughts shift. Change your thoughts and your habits change. Change your habits and your destiny moves. Yet people resist. It's just entertainment, they say, and their life reflects the entertainment they consume. Noisy, messy, superficial. They defend distractions more than they defend their purpose. They fight harder for comfort than they do for calling. The transformation you want cannot grow in the environment you settled in. You can't surround yourself with doubt and expect faith to flourish. You can't stay where you're shrinking and expect expansion. You can't keep choosing company that keeps you average and expect excellence to magically appear. Every elevation demands a separation. Every new chapter demands old characters exit the scene. Your environment shapes your energy, your ambition, your identity. And it takes courage, real courage, to walk away from what feels safe, but slowly kills you. To choose solitude over fake support. To choose growth over company. To choose vision over validation. And once you do, once you step into spaces that challenge you, inspire you, sharpen you, you'll laugh at what you once tolerated. You'll wonder why you ever feared letting go. You'll realize the environment wasn't just a background. It was the story you lived in. And all along, the door to a better world was open. You just had to walk away from the one keeping you small.